We're getting ready to begin a new project, so I went to pick up some materials. I got 4 sheets of 3/4 inch off-the-rack oak veneered plywood at a home center and 5 oak boards at a hardwood dealer for $600. Now granted, these are extreme circumstances. Supply chain issues related to the pandemic and other factors that are beyond the scope of this video have driven wood prices to levels I've never seen before. But even in the good times, wood's expensive. Yesterday we published a video about how to get started in woodworking with a set of tools that would cost under $100. I'll link to that video below if you haven't seen it yet. Today we'll talk about where you may find free or low-cost wood for your projects. While I'm sure you've heard some of these sources before, stick with me because I think you'll hear some that you've never thought of before. Firewood is an excellent source of lumber because its price per board foot is shockingly low, even free if you find someone cutting down a tree that just wants the wood hauled away. Firewood is especially desirable because you can split or saw it across the growth rings to get nice, straight, quarter-sawn grain. And you get to choose the thickness of your workpieces, so you may make specific projects that require larger chunks of wood. There are some downsides to working with firewood though. If it's unseasoned, you'll have to give your new boards about a year per inch of thickness to dry, and they may check or split in that time. There may be insect damage inside the logs. There will be a great deal of waste, and what boards you do salvage will likely be quite small. Still, firewood is an excellent source of cheap wood for small projects. If you don't mind digging through someone else's trash, you can find a lot of free usable wood on trash day. Look for discarded boards or shelving. You'll be surprised what people will set by the road just to get it out of their garage. Even old discarded pieces of furniture can yield usable project wood if you're willing to tear it apart. If you're really not shy, you may try dumpster diving. In time, you'll learn what dumpsters are more likely to yield good wood based on what types of businesses they service. The dumpsters behind cabinet shops are particularly nice. Those behind restaurants and grocery stores, not so much. Of course, if you can stand the smell, the local landfill is often full of opportunities for free wood, but you have to want it badly enough. Construction sites can be a great place to get free lumber, especially pieces of sheet goods. Depending on what they're building and at what stage of the process they're in, you may also find hardwood trim and cutoffs from other high-quality boards. This is true of both residential and commercial construction sites. But don't just drive up to a job site and start taking stuff without asking. And don't wander into the middle of a dangerous work area. Don't trespass after hours either. You could wind up in big trouble. Ask permission and be polite. Generally, if it's in a trash bin, they'll let you have it because they have to pay to dispose of that stuff. And while some crews may be reluctant to part with scraps from their good materials, they will almost always let you salvage some of the debris from the demolition work. Some of the best salvaged wood comes out of old buildings that are being remodeled. You may get nice, clear, old-growth beams or flooring that's not only beautiful, but full of history. Pallet wood projects have been trendy for a while, mostly because pallet wood is cheap or even free. You can find pallets discarded on trash day. You can ask local businesses if they have any you can haul away for them. Some places get a lot of deliveries and they may practically beg you to take their pallets. The problem with pallet wood is you never know what you'll get. Often, pallets are made from the worst board in the tree. But occasionally, you get some really good stuff. Look for pallets that are clean and pretty heavy. I've seen some made from walnut and even exotic hardwoods. The greatest downside of pallet wood is all the labor it takes to turn one into usable boards, including tearing or cutting it apart and removing all the nails. You really should invest in a handheld metal detector so a hidden fastener doesn't ruin your day. You may be surprised to see how many people have piles of boards that have been drying in their barns or their garages ever since a buddy with a portable sawmill helped cut down a fallen tree years ago. Now, never having used it, they just want the stuff out of the way, and if you can buy a lot at once, you may get a really good deal. You'll find these stashes advertised on sites such as Craigslist and the Facebook Marketplace. Just search for lumber or for slabs or any other terms that you think people may use in their listings. Be sure to ask how long it's been drying so you don't get a bunch of green wood, and don't pay until you've loaded it all up in case you find that the middle of the pile is all rotten. eBay can be a source of small boards, particularly highly figured or exotics. Often, they're way overpriced, but I have bought some really nice veneers for dirt cheap prices on eBay. By the way, you can save search terms in some of these sites so you get an email notification whenever relevant listings pop up. I've bought quite a bit of lumber from yard sales. Sometimes it's just a few boards that someone had left over from a project and they just want it out of the garage. Other times it's a pile of rough sawn boards in the barn out back. The nice thing about yard sales is folks are often willing to negotiate. If they have wood, they may also have some tools you want, and you may be able to group it together and get a package deal. Rural sales are always the best, especially if they're calling it a barn sale or an estate sale. But you better show up early on the first day of the sale or the good stuff will be gone. If you live in the suburbs, you may find slim pickings for wood at yard sales and the like. But many neighborhoods have internal email lists or private Facebook groups where people can advertise things they wish to sell or give away, including excess lumber left over from home improvements or other projects, or even old furniture that can be salvaged. Usually you have to live in that neighborhood to get on the list, but you may ask friends and family members to monitor any groups they may be part of. Like yard sales, thrift stores often contain old furniture that may be salvaged for wood, but I want to advise a little caution in this case. Thrift stores are specifically set up to cater to low-income people. Often these items are donated specifically for that purpose. Sometimes it's clearly trash with no value other than for lumber, but if it's a serviceable piece of furniture, you may not want to deprive someone else of something they may truly need just so you can tear it up. I recommend asking an employee if the item's been sitting there for a while. They may tell you it's drawn very little interest and they may be eager to get it out of the shop and make room for something else. While most of the wood at home centers is pretty expensive these days, many of them have clearance areas where they pile materials that aren't fit for selling at full price. These may be damaged boards or special order items that were returned or that nobody picked up. They may even be open packs of material with some missing pieces. These clearance materials can sometimes be had for a small fraction of the regular price, and they may yield a lot of good wood once you cut around the damaged areas. The problem may be finding the clearance stuff. They aren't always stored where you think they should be, so ask an employee. They'll show you the way. Pretty much every rural area will have some sort of local sawyer. It may be a guy with a wood miser who's selling boards he cuts from trees that come down in storms. It may be a larger operation that gets logs from tree services, and they may stock various hardwoods at considerably lower prices than the lumber yards. Sometimes these guys advertise. You may even find them on the same internet sources I mentioned before. But often they can be hard to find because they do business through word of mouth. You sort of have to know someone who can give you an introduction. Don't ask the first woodworker you meet where they get their wood and expect them to tell you. If it's a really good source, folks may be reluctant to create competition for the wood they want themselves. So go get breakfast at restaurants where the contractors gather early in the morning and make friends, or the bar if you're into that scene. Join local woodworking guilds and make friends there. Take the time to build relationships within the community of builders, carpenters, and cabinet makers, and it may pay off big when they let you in. Large sawmills aren't in the business of giving away lumber, but that doesn't mean they won't do it. For example, they sometimes trim the ends of boards to make them all a standard length or because there was a knot or a blemish. These cutoffs can be up to 2 feet long and perfectly usable for small projects. Often, someone at the mill is taking that stuff home for firewood. But it's worth asking just in case it goes unclaimed. You may even be able to make a deal with whoever has laid claim to it. I once bought about 3 cords of milled walnut and maple cutoffs for the price of firewood. If you're lucky, you may even get spalted wood that the mill considers to be trash, but a woodworker like you may consider to be treasure. Keep in mind that nothing in life is truly free. If you wish to save money, you have to spend effort. This may mean more effort searching for low-cost materials or working to make them usable. Some people will argue that time is money, so are you really saving that much? Maybe that's true for a lot of folks, but not for everyone, because time is only worth money if someone is paying you for that time. I know a few people who are paid for every waking hour. If you have some spare time on your hands, you may try some of these ways to save money on your next woodworking project. See you next time. It's just a couple of cuts. Your ears will be fine, right? They will be if you have your IsoTunes Bluetooth earbuds in. because you'd already have your ANSI certified hearing protection on because you're listening to your favorite music and podcasts. And you're supporting a small family business at the same time. Please use the link below this video to learn more and to show them you support what we do as well. Wait, don't go yet. If you're new here, please subscribe and remember to ring the bell. I would really appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up, or better yet, leave us a comment. I always read them. And be sure to check out the latest issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. It's always packed with tips, tricks, and tutorials designed to make you a better woodworker.